My name is Alexandre Alaphilippe. I work at the EU Disinfo Lab, and I will be your host for this press conference today. Many people have already joined. We are currently 31 people in this room. So welcome today to the presentation of the activities and the first activities of the Belgium and Luxembourg Digital Media and Disinformation Observatory, also known as EDMO BELUX press conference. Today we're going to have a presentation of the first activities that will be launched by the hub in the next today, actually, for the website and some of our activities in the next weeks and months, and give you a few rendezvous where we will meet. We'll have this presentation, which is around 20 minutes, and then we will have time for Q&A with you and the audience. To ask your questions, please use the chat in the Q&A question. We'll take your questions. We can also put you on stage. So today we have many partners of the EDMO BELUX taking care of the different presentations that you will see today. And without further introduction, I would like to pass the floor to Trisha Meyer at the VIB, who's the coordinator of the EDMO BELUX hub. Trisha, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Alexandra. So I'll give a very brief presentation and then pass on the floor. So the European Digital Media Observatory for Belgium and Luxembourg, EDMO BELUX, is a hub for research on digital media and disinformation in Belgium and Luxembourg. EDMO BELUX opère dans 5 langues: français, néerlandais, luxembourgeois, anglais et allemand. EDMO BELUX est donc, comme vous entendez, een collaboration multilingue en ook een samenwerking dat echt over de grenzen heen, taalgrenzen, maar ook grenzen de frontières heen gaat. EDMO BELUX maakt deel uit van het Europees EDMO-netwerk om een nationale en internationale observatories rond desinformatie op te starten. Could we proceed to the next slides, please? En zoals u hier ziet, is er al een heel deel van Europa bestrijkt hiermee. Er is ook een tweede ronde van financiering. Het doel is van de Europese Commissie om hier echt heel Europa, de hele Europese Unie althans, gecoverd te hebben. Next slide, please. The objectives of EDMO BELUX in Belgium are threefold. We aim to bring together an international and multilingual network of experts. We believe that it's important to work across these language, let's not call them barriers, opportunities rather, because we realize that disinformation does not limit itself to one language. We have a localized but also an EU-wide scope in the work that we do. So there's focus on a variety of themes of disinformation, which you will learn about later. But at the same time, very much seeing what are the disinformation trends that are present in Belgium and in Luxembourg, and also realizing being in the center really of European activities, paying attention to this as well. We aim to demonstrate that collaborations at a micro scale are possible. If we're able to do this within Belgium and Luxembourg, we believe that this is a collaboration that can also be successful at a larger scale. I'll pass on the floor to the project coordinator, Tom Willaert.
Thank you, Trisha. So the project involves 8 partners. You can see the logos listed here. So we have the Vrije Universiteit Brussels, who is the main coordinator of the project. We have Université Saint-Louis Bruxelles, one of the leading academic partners
that are present in Belgium and in Luxembourg, and also realizing being in the center.
No worries, Tom. It was just a late delay from some of our partners that is listening with some delay.
Okay, no problem. So to continue with the partners, we have also MediaWays, who is our leading media literacy partner. We have EU Disinfo Lab, the leading partner for OSINT investigations and trend analysis. Then we have AFP, who is one of the leading international media outlets in the field of fact-checking. We also have RTL Luxembourg, who provides fact checks to the project. RTBF, also one of the fact-checking partners, and then we have ATC, or Athens Technology Center, as one of our as our leading technical partner. So next slide, please. In the project, we aim to develop 3 different tracks, you could say, or 3 main initiatives that will allow us to respond to disinformation. So disinformation campaigns in the region, but also, again, taking this wider European scope. So the first pillar here is a rapid response network for monitoring and investigating disinformation as it happens. So here we will follow up very closely based on, for instance, our network of fact checks and fact checkers, what the current trends are in the region, but also, again, taking this wider European scope and write regular reports on these trends. We will also do deeper research on these disinformation trends. So really starting from what we receive from our network and from our rapid response network to investigate what some of the bigger trends are, but also investigate what the impact of disinformation can be on audiences and what the general policy responses are to disinformation and how effective these can be. And then finally, also, we put in a lot of efforts to deliver media literacy tools and trainings. So this concerns very concrete materials that, well, could be used to educate people in how to detect disinformation, how to deal with disinformation, and also provide trainings at different levels. So really focusing also on the local community level. And I would like to pass it on now to our first fact-checking partner, AFP.
Hello, everybody. I won't try to speak Dutch because my level is a bit weak, but I will stick to English and French if you don't mind. Well, at AFP, as you may know, fact check is becoming a major activity. For decades, we've thought that our job was mainly establishing the facts. Well, now it's also debunking the lies. It's really about truth and lies now, what we are working on. And we started in 2017, with France, with the French presidential election. And since then, we have expanding drastically our fact-checking operation, as we now work in 25 languages, in 85 countries, and have more than 120 people who are completely dedicated to fact-checking, because it requires a lot of techniques that not all the journalists yet possess, but we are in the process of teaching them to all the newsrooms over the world in AFP. So maybe if we change slides. So what exactly are we going to do for BELUX? We are going to publish fact checks in Dutch, in French, in English, and in German. They won't be the same. I mean, the Dutch one will be more related to the Flemish region, the French ones to the Wallon region. The English one will be mainly about how the rest of the world is carrying disinformation about Europe. We think this is something really interesting to show. And the German ones may be about Germany, but of interest to the region we are talking about. We will post around 1 fact check a day, and the audience will be able to really look for the subjects, the topics they are interested in, because there will be a category system which will allow them to do 1 click and get immediately on environment stories, health stories, etc., etc. So next slide, maybe. AFP will also publish tutorials against disinformation. What is it exactly? They are short videos, very easy to watch videos to teach the public about the basic techniques of disinformation and how to fight them. So this will be basically to empower the public into fighting disinformation. For example, geolocation. So how do you do this with your computer? How do you find out where exactly an image is coming from? or reverse image search, because that allows you to have more data about an image and to understand that this image has been used outside its context. And so with these little videos, which are 1 minute, 2 minutes long at the longest, people can really understand and make these techniques themselves, and at least have a basic knowledge to understand what disinformation is about. And in contrast with it, we will also, the researchers will also carry studies about the impact on audiences of this disinformation. So we want to work on the two sides, how to empower public and how to understand the impact of disinformation on the public. And now I think I give the floor to RTL.
Yeah, thank you, Christine. Hello, everybody. As the leading media outlet here in Luxembourg, RTL is, of course, aware of the growing spread of disinformation in the post-2016 world. And the pandemic has accelerated many societal trends, and it is true of the increasing importance of the rejection of mainstream media among, thankfully, minor parts of the Luxembourgish-speaking population, and they are being misled by dubious posts and other wild claims on social media as regards the virus. Next slide, please. This, as can be seen everywhere around the world, generates dissent in our communities and breeds verbal and actually real-life violence. So what sort of facts have we checked? Next slide, please. One example, the pandemic saw violent demonstrations and riots take place outside the private home of politicians, including Prime Minister Xavier Bettel. His husband, Gauthier Destiné's car was damaged. Some social media users have then claimed the car was not damaged as part of the riots and that the photo was taken at an earlier date. Change the slide, please. Our research clearly showed that the car was damaged on the day of the protests. It has also been proven that the vehicle belongs to Gauthier and that the image was taken shortly after the damage had been done. There were complete lies, fabrication with ill intent, disinformation. Next slide. RTL Luxembourg also reaches the English and French-speaking audiences that make up nearly half the country's population, with fact-checked from our esteemed colleagues of AFP and our own homegrown fact-checking articles in their respective languages. Next slide, please. This is important in a country with so many and varied resident profiles and cross-border commuting workers. Like Belgium, Luxembourg is a land of rapid transit between borders and disparate communities that should be protected from falsehoods, those shared consciously and those that are not. In conclusion, we are proud to be part of this collaborative effort against the further alienation of large strands of the global, in our case, local audience, and parts of the Grande Région around Luxembourg. Last slide. Thank you for your attention. I give the floor now to Grégoire from RTBF.
Thank you very much, Olivier. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Dag iedereen, bonjour à tous. I am Grégoire Hickmans. I'm a journalist and I am the fact-checking coordinator for FACI, which is the platform we developed for RTBF related to fact-checking. So we can begin with the slides, please. So as a public media, RTBF is committed to strike against the growing disinformation and help the audience to get more relevant information. As we are the biggest Belgian French-talking newsroom with around 200 journalists and experts, we can rely on their expertise to debunk and analyze news. And concerning fact-checked information, we have different approaches at RTBF related to radio, TV, and internet. Next slide, please. So what we do, FACI, is a specific fact-checking section and platform. So we have a dedicated section on our website, and we have a platform that helps strike disinformation. We publish articles that decipher and analyze information elements such as posts or pictures that are spread on social networks and in the media. You've got to know that the articles can take a certain time to be published, as we need to go into deep analysis. And we publish on average 1 or 2 articles per week, which means around 4 to 8 articles of fact-checking per month. So what do we publish about? We publish about misleading publications on social networks, but also we check political or official statements. And we also check local elements related to proximity disinformation and several other topics. We globally reach a large audience compared to the usual news articles published on rtvf.be/info. The FAQ articles can reach up to 165,000 readers, which is quite a lot. And some of the articles we produce are even among the most read articles on our website. How do we proceed? In fact, before we start writing an article, we make sure that the analyzed information reaches a critical mass of users in French-speaking Belgium. And we think this is also part of our public service mission as RTBF. So thank you very much. And I give back the floor to Alexandre.
Thank you, Grégoire, and thank you all AFP and RTL for presenting the content providers that are very important in the EDMO BELUX hub. So what you've seen is a collection of knowledge about fact-checking content being produced by some of our partners. But what we really want to insist on is that EDMO BELUX is not only this collection of partners, it's a community that we want to grow and that needs to grow in Belgium, in all Belgian languages, so French, Dutch, German community, and in Luxembourg with the Luxembourgish community, to have this kind of shared resources and common resources to understand how this information is spread in this region. And to do so, we've designed our social media and our communications and outreach tools to reflect what a hub means. So basically in our website, and I'm going to show you very quickly, you can go on a website which is live from today, which is belux.edmo.eu. And you can see you have an English version for people that are also following disinformation from outside this region and want to know what's happening in Belgium and Luxembourg. But we also have, of course, a French version with French fact-checking and all the websites translated in French. We also have it in Dutch, in German. We also have it in Luxembourgish, and we also have it, of course, and I can show it directly to you, it's live in Dutch. So what is very interesting is that you have a capacity to collect content which will be localized and which will be relevant for many of the users that want to know. So basically, the thing is, like, if you want to know about this information happening in Belgium and Luxembourg, belux.edmo.eu is your first point of contact. But the thing is, we don't consider ourselves as the main sources. We have extraordinary partners in the project, but there are also extraordinary partners that are not in the project. So that's why, using our Twitter account, we will also highlight the great pieces of news, the greatest resources that are available for the Belgium and Luxembourg communities, and we will share them so everybody could have better understanding of the phenomena. So today, if you look at today's EDMO BELUX Twitter account, you can see this fantastic article from Apache, which has been looking into the Convoi de la Liberté, Vrijheids convoy that happened yesterday in Brussels, that traveled from France to Brussels, and looked at the disinformation that was inside the Telegram groups that were actually bringing the convoy. You can see here a new study from ISD, Institute for Strategic Dialogue, a UK institute, that found that people were actually selling fake COVID pass using fake Belgian COVID pass. So what does it mean for our Belgian communities to how to prepare and to catch this? You can see a MOOC from a partner in France in French that could be very interesting for French readers of the hub about how to check this information and how to learn to be more resilient to this information. So we're really looking into having this website and social media in a very practical way, and to gather community that is not only the partners of EDMO BELUX, but like everybody that is invited today to join the hub and to share information so that we can share it more widely with everybody. On that, I will pass the floor back to Tom.
Thank you, Alexandre. So to wrap up this presentation, I want to reiterate this point that this launch today is a first step in the direction of a wider community. And so we really want to invite you to get involved in this hub and in the work that we are doing. So this can be through crowdsourcing stories and content that we can investigate. So if you see something interesting, please let us know and we can help you follow up on that. You can also help us to collaborate on in-depth dossiers. So we're interested in some deeper investigation, for instance, in Telegram communities that are organizing these Vrijheidsconvoy that were just presented, or on the media literacy level, how you can engage, for instance, with people who are trapped by disinformation in your own family. So this can go quite broad and quite deep. And of course, we would also like to invite you to participate in some upcoming research activities that we are conducting. So this consists, for instance, of interviews and in-depth conversations to actually monitor the impact of disinformation on audiences. Next slide, please. So to follow up on this initial event, we've planned a number of upcoming events in the future. So on March 18th, we'll have a consortium meeting with our group, but we also would like to open this up to become a bigger network exchange and sort of meet and greet for people interested in participating in the hub. On April 2nd, there will be the International Fact-Checking Day, where we also plan to launch a few communication events. And then on April 29th, we'll have a more in-depth workshop, you could say, surrounding or around OSINT investigations and trend analysis of this information in the region that we are investigating. So these are some upcoming events. And again, the main point here is that we would really like to welcome you to join our hub and to participate in our activities. And so I would like to pass it back to Alexandre for the Q&A.
Yeah, so if you have any questions, so thank you, Tom. Thank you all partners for this excellent presentation. If you have any questions, we can use the chat box, and I can already see the first questions here. A question from Kalina Boncheva from Sheffield University. Congratulations on the excellent initiative that you have. Thank you, Kalina. How do you plan to collaborate with the other funded European hubs? So maybe Trisha, that we've seen that there are many other hubs. There is also another hub which is called EDMO, also looking at the Netherlands and Flanders. Like, how does it work, Trisha, all these hubs all together?
Thank you, Professor Boncheva, for the question, and also for the added context, Alexandra. Indeed, we are part of a larger network, and we have quarterly coordinating meetings. So we had the pleasure of going to Florence once, but they're also in hybrid format, really to kind of align, because a lot of these networks all have the same objectives to counter disinformation through these three pillars, through the fact-checking, the research, and the media literacy. There are also collaborative activities that are organized. So for instance, OSINT analyses or fact-checking endeavors that we see are traveling across borders, that there's the opportunity really to work together between the hubs. This is also being started for the impact trends analysis that'll be upcoming for us in the coming few months, as well as media literacy activities, starting to get those partners from the various projects together. As Alexandre also highlighted, one of the examples that he actually showed of Savoir Devenir on our social media accounts, will also have that effort of where the language, there's a language match of bringing that into account. And finally, as mentioned, EDMO will be our closest partner within this European network, because we are both have the pleasure of both covering Flanders and the Dutch language.
Thank you, Kalina, and thank you, Trisha. Do we have any other questions? You can see we have many participants here. Would anybody want to take the floor to ask a question? That means everything was super clear then. So in that case, if we don't have anybody's question, unless I can see somebody actually screaming from beyond their screen and hearing in Brussels, I would like to thank you for your participation today. As a reminder, we have some events coming in, the March 18, April 2, April 29, so please, we'll come up with more communications on that. How do you do, and how do you make sure you don't miss that communication? It's very easy. Follow up our LinkedIn page and our Twitter page. Every information will be there, and the website added to your bookmarks. It's always a good thing to check every morning to see if some things are coming up. And we will also re-communicate in the next weeks and months about our next activities with more meat and to have more discussions coming into these fantastic things. I would like to thank all the partners for the presentation today, and thank you for your attention. And
Alexandre?
yes.
I think we got some more questions.
Ah, good. Thank you. That's perfect. I had to force people to take questions. That's my favorite activity. Anne Lebacy, can you tell us a little more about the media literacy trainings? If you have still some time, we can find the time. And who would be the best one to take this one?
I think Sarah.
Maybe Sarah from MediaWays.
Yes, indeed.
Let me check. Maybe Sarah is in the audience.
Otherwise, I can respond as well. It's not a problem.
Yeah, could you take this one, Tricia?
Sure. Yeah, so the media literacy activities are on three pistas. Sorry, I'm thinking in multiple languages. 3 pillars. On the one hand, there's a collection of best practice guides and media literacy activities that they are also requesting people to send in so that we have a nice kind of showcase of things that are being done in Belgium and Luxembourg in the various languages. That's kind of the first step. There will be training for media professionals as well. In the multiple communities. So we'll do that in 3 languages. And then there are also media literacy campaigns that will implement choosing material very much that we've seen have been trending across the 2 countries in the coming months. So we're also seeking to endeavor to create synergies between the 3 types of work that we do, the fact-checking, the research, and the media literacy. That's a very short response, but I hope it helps.
Yeah, thank you, Tricia. I can see also another question from Josephine at Lie Detectors. Josephine, thank you. You're one of the initiatives that we highlighted on the EDMO BELUX account, because Lie Detectors is doing fantastic work in journalists in classrooms, but also in Belgium and Luxembourg. So we encourage everybody to know more about Lie Detectors. So your question, Josephine, would it be possible to hear a bit about whether your analysis show any striking differences between the different disinformation campaigns in Belgium versus the campaigns in Luxembourg? Thank you. I can maybe take this one because it's a bit of in Disinfolab's corner. So thank you, Josephine, for the question. So we haven't started yet all the analysis. That's why we have this milestone on 29th of April. We're actually looking at different very interesting phenomena. One thing I want to highlight is we can see that some actors are traveling between Luxembourg and Belgium, for instance. So if you look at the demonstration that happened in Brussels a few weeks ago by what is called Europeans United, with a strong anti-vax and a lot of disinformation around vaccine and autism discourse, for instance, we see that some of the speakers and some of the guests that were in the demonstrations in Brussels also have been participating to activities in Luxembourg. So we are trying to check a bit like how these different actors of disinformation can also operate in different countries. And we found that the connection between Luxembourg and Belgium sometimes is close because of shared languages, because of geographical proximity. It's the same with also France. That's why also, as Tricia said, it would be very important to cooperate with the French EDMO hub, which is called De Facto. That was also, it would be very important to work with the Ben EDMO hub to also look at what's happening in the Netherlands to better understand what's happening in Flanders. So we hope to have a few more concrete answers for you in the next weeks and months, and hopefully material that you can use in your trainings. And if you want also to get in touch with providing some resources to your activities, Josephine, feel free, of course, to get in touch. Okay, Zara, you're back about the media literacy question. Any things you want to add on top of Tricia?
I don't know what Trisha already told you, but
Everything. She said everything.
no, but for the trainings, it'll be for teachers, for library workers, and we want to engage them in different tools and stuff on how to support children, but citizens in general to enhance in media literacy.
Okay, thank you so much, Zara. If we don't have any other questions, I'm happy to thank everybody. I would like to call all the members and the partners of EDMO to show their face. Yes. So thank you, everybody. I would also show, yes. So that's it. That's you have in front of you all the EDMO partners. Thank you so much for your time today, for your questions, and we'll be in touch very soon. Bye-bye, everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.